Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast where we talk about all things 3DO, the company, the console, and everything in between. I am Bill, and this is Threk. How you doing, Threk?
I am feeling great, Bill. How are you?
My entire world's on fire right now. Other than that, though, I'm great.
We have the complete opposite where your world is on fire and I'm like, the Vikings won. It was week 1 of the NFL season. I'm going to recap every week. I'm sorry, guys. And the Vikings played Monday night against the Bears and they won. They shouldn't have won because they looked like absolute ass for the first 3 quarters. But by the fourth quarter, they're like, "Oh shit, we need to play a football game." They scored 3 touchdowns, and that was the end of that. So good on them, and they played the Bears. So shout out to our buddy Eric from the Unlockables podcast. He has recently started a show about the Bears because he's a Bears fan called 9 to 5 Bears. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, all that good stuff. So go give that a watch or a listen. It has a really solid production value, and you get to hear him and his coworker friend whine about how bad the Bears are, which for a division rival makes me very happy. But yeah, shout out to Eric.
The most I know about the Bears is they spanked the Patriots years ago, and
85 Bears. Yep. Yeah.
And they had the Super Bowl shuffle.
Yeah. The Chicago fans cling to 1985 like a crutch. It's all they have.
See, I only remember the Super Bowl shuffle because that internet hoax video got made as a parody of it years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That everyone thought was real, and it turned out it was all like a performance thing.
Yeah, so I won't go too in depth. This is in the Vikings podcast, but I'm happy they got the win. They just they need to clean up their game, clean up their act for next week because they're playing Atlanta at home. So hopefully they can play better against Michael Penis Jr. His name is Michael Penix Jr., but of course everybody makes the obvious joke. But he was doing a press conference, and somebody, when they put the little thing up for his name, they typed it in as Michael Penis Jr. So,
oops.
But anyways, so yeah, this week, I guess in with the sports thing, we're talking about a sports game, so to speak, right? I'll say before news, there's really not that much. I kind of had to scrape some things together. Because did we talk about it last week? No, we didn't. Silk Song, it came out on the 4th, right?
It sure did,
and it's done really well. Shocker, right? Like I think it was like all the major stores were down.
Yeah,
like it literally broke. It literally broke everything. People trying to get to play it. But people are starting to play it. Reviews are trickling in. I think it's Metacritic. Last time I checked was like a 98. It'll go down. It'll go down.
Yeah.
But it'll settle somewhere in the low 90s, I think. It'd be great if it went to like 89. That'd be great.
I think like the majority of people who are buying it and rating it right now are the people who are like absolutely obsessed and ready to play it.
Yeah.
I think eventually you'll get more of the curious people that will come in and check it out, and then you'll get more kind of like less biased reviews probably in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing some interesting takes on it. Just kind of glancing at it. Because I thought about playing it because it's on Game Pass, but I'm like, should probably play Hollow Knight 1 again. But I thought I was like, I'm fine for right now.
That was my thing. I looked at Silk Song, I'm like, it looks really good. But I didn't really like Hollow Knight, so I probably am not going to like this.
From what I know, it is different. Like Hornet, the character you play as, who's in the first Hollow Knight, they're a very different character. So there's enough of Silk Song to where it is a different game in some aspects. So that's a good thing. So I found it weird. Some people were complaining about the difficulty, which I'm like, did you guys not play the first game? Like it's not an easy game, but I don't know. Apparently there's an update coming out making it easier or whatever. I don't know. I think when we hit, I'll say it's September now. I think by the time we hit Game Awards time in December, there will be I think it'll be a more like general synopsis take on Silk Song. Because yeah, like I saw the Metacritic at 100. I'm like, it's not going to stay there. That's ridiculous.
No, it never does.
Yeah. So, but who knows where it'll settle? But the funny thing I saw about all this was this is an article run by Video Games Chronicle where it says Atari launched its own Metroidvania on the same day as Silksong, and it only hit 12 concurrent players on Steam. I'm like, Atari, why did you do this? Why couldn't you move it like a week or 2 weeks or something like that? Like just move it a little bit. Like give itself a little bit of breathing room.
Because good old Atari Grams is not the smartest publisher from what I've noticed over the years.
They make weird choices. I mean, I'm glad they're still doing shit, but thing is, the game, it looks interesting. It's called Adventure of Samsara, whatever. Apparently, it's a Metroidvania that is sort of a reboot, rebranding of Adventure, the old Atari game. It's kind of basing itself on that. I looked at the trailer. It has really beautiful, like 2D pixel art. Gave me a little bit of Blasphemous vibes as well. Like it looks pretty interesting. There's a demo on Steam. If it was on console, I would have tried it out. And it does have 20, and it's only $20 as well. So I have a feeling this is one of those games that I think once all the Silksong stuff dies out, I think some people will go to it a little bit more. And who knows, maybe this article helped with that because I didn't know of this game's existence until I saw it. And then yeah, looking at it, I'm like, this looks kind of neat. So I wish listed it. So I'll probably
This would
get
have
it
been
when it's
like
10.
This would have been like putting up like some weird indie film on the same day as like Superman. Like,
I mean, there probably was something. There's always something.
I'm sure there was, but like nobody talked about it.
But at least like with movies, especially theatrical runs, I feel like there's a lot of logistics that goes into setting like a date for that, and it's hard to move that around. But with video games, especially now with digital ones, it's like just move it like a week or 2 weeks. I don't think anybody would care.
Yeah,
honestly. You know? So, but yeah, Adventure of Samsara. Go give that game some love, especially if you like Silksong. It's another search action-y type of thing, so it looks pretty neat. The only other things I have is Tokyo Game Show's coming up. Naturally, everyone's talking about we're gonna get a direct this week. Apparently, I'll believe it when I see it. But the only things I've seen for Tokyo Game Show right now is Xbox has confirmed it'll be there. It's gonna have like the first playable version of Ninja Gaiden 4, which is pretty cool. There'll probably be some Japanesey games that gets announced like into Game Pass or whatever, right? Cool with that. But the big thing people are anticipating, so I think I'd mentioned it before, was the rumor that they're going to be unveiling Forza Horizon 6 at the Tokyo Game Show because it's going to take place in Japan. So that's what I'll be looking forward to the most, I think, because sounds good. Forza Horizon games are great. I'll take another one. Yeah, I'll take some Tokyo drifting. Their broadcast is going to be September 25th, but it'll be at 6 a.m. my time. So I'll be just climbing out of bed. So
I'll be at work.
I'll look at it later. I'll look at it probably when I get settled into work. I'll probably take a gander at it. The only other thing I saw was Sega confirmed their appearance at the Tokyo Game Show, and they had a list of games that they were showing. They're going to be showing 8 games. 4 of them we already know. It's Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, Virtua Fighter 5 Revo, which I think Revo has like an open beta coming up, which I'm probably going to take a glance at. That Persona 5 Phantom X mobile game thing.
Sure.
Yeah, that I know some people who really like it, but I'm like, I don't give 2 shits. Also, Persona 3 Reload is in here. And I'm like, didn't that already come out? Or is there more DLC?
Maybe more DLC. Maybe portable DLC. They're finally going to give everyone Fem Pro Tag.
I mean, that could be. I don't know what else they would do with 3 Reload.
It'll be something that people find reasons to complain about.
I guess. But the only interesting thing was there are 4 games here that they have blanked out, 4 slots that are empty. So, of course, people are like, oh, what could this be? What could it be? I mean, it could be something that RGG unveils at their next direct. Could be that. I mean, there's all those other games they're working on, like the reboot of Crazy Taxi, the reboot of Jet Grind Radio. And they have a couple other like older stuff in the works. It could be that. Trying to think what else it would be. I don't think they have another Sakura Wars under their belt.
I wish they did, but
did that reboot one even do any good?
I heard it sold okay. It's a series that only one game previously had come out over here.
Yeah.
And the one game that did is considered the worst game in the series. So,
I mean, I heard the new Sakura Wars was fine, but I think when it came out, it was like 2019, and it felt like it just kind of went under the radar.
Well,
so I didn't hear anything about it.
It also played nothing like the previous games. Like, it was a very different game.
Isn't it trying to be more like Fire Emblem?
It wasn't even really a tactical game anymore. It was like a action-y game.
Oh.
It was almost like what happened to the Shining series.
And look how that turned out. Still mad about that.
Yeah, the Wild Arms the Wild Arms team is making Shining Force now or whatever. I don't know.
Why?
Actually, no, they're not even making Shining anymore. They're making fucking Digimon games now.
Yeah. Shining is dead. Shining is absolutely dead.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been dead since like Shining Soul 2, so it's fine. But yeah, it'll be curious to see what Sega does. They haven't announced like any sort of like showcase or anything, at least no times or anything. So we'll see what happens. So,
something did come out today.
Oh, what's that?
Well, it's kind of relevant because we've been talking about it on the network. The Bubsy collection came out today.
That's right, it did. It did come out today.
It's already getting review bombed, and I'm like, of course it is.
Why are people review bombing it?
Well, I don't even think it's review bombing. I just saw Nintendo Life already reviewed it, and it's got a 4 out of 10. I'm like, sure.
Why would they give it a 4 out of 10? It can't be that bad.
I wonder if anyone actually played it and they're just reviewing it based off the original games.
I feel like with a collection like that, you can't review it based on the quality of the games. Because it's a documentary piece. Like, I did watch a review of it where somebody said it's closer to like an Atari 50, where it's meant to just kind of document the Bubsy series. Like, this is the whole thing, pretty much, right? So,
and give us 3D with functioning controls, which I'm still like,
yeah,
I don't know how to feel about.
Well, let me see what Nintendo Life has here. Let's see. Conclusion. One wonders if the entire Bubsy series wasn't actually designed as a sort of torture parody, that the intention along was to pummel unsuspecting children into submission via an innocent-looking anthropomorphic bobcat-led platform game. Picture this. Some kid in 1993 got Bubsy for Christmas after the sales clerk told his parents that Sonic and Mario were old hats and that this was the new hot thing. There's no fucking way anybody has ever said that ever.
Did they not like play like 80% of games during this era?
Like Bubsy exists because of Mario and Sonic.
Bubsy was
no one was ever hyping up Bubsy as the next big thing. Like, that was Sonic was the next big thing. Also, and plus, 1993, Sonic was not fucking old hat. That was Sonic 2. God damn it.
Going into 3, like,
exactly. It was at the peak of its fucking power.
Also, like, that's a person who clearly is ignoring the fact that like Bubsy was one of like 1,000 of these different games.
Yeah, like there was Zool, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, fucking
Arrow the Acrobat,
fucking
Awesome
Possum, Earthworm Jim, Boogerman, Lester the Unlikely, even.
Yeah, this is one of those reviews that's just trying to play off modern like meaning.
It's just Bubsy became the infamous one because it was just so ridiculous. But anyways, I'm gonna keep this going. That kid either never forgave their parents for the injustice and the playground bullying they endured as a result, or they committed fully to the Bubsy universe and found a happy place within it. If you're the latter, then this collection is for you and only you. Joys, a competently handled collection with personality, well presented with plenty of bonus features. Save states and the rewind feature make it far more palatable. Emulation quality is good and handled well by Limited Run's Carbon engine. Cons, the games remain frustrating and painful to play with very little daylight in between. What's here hasn't aged well, regardless of whether or not you're a Bubsy fan. At least 2 titles on here are total non-starters, and you'll be hard-pressed to tackle them for more than 10 minutes. That's not 3 cons. That's just a con, where it's like the games aren't great. And it's like, yeah, we all know the games aren't great. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like they're doing this because they have the Bubsy license, and they're like, fuck it. Throw them out there. It's kind of the same thing with Gex, really. Where they're like, we have all
Yeah.
these, sure. Like, I'm more interested in all of the bonus stuff, like all the interviews and all the concept stuff. And again, the one review I saw, I think it was Xbox Era, they did a review on it, and they were kinder to it because they treated it more as I said, as like a museum art piece.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is how it should be looked at, because like, if you're curious to like if the Bubsy games are any good, it's like, well, they're not. But I feel like if you're in the know, you know that already. You know what I mean?
I still can't get over how many reviews I see where they still act like they're like, oh, it's got the fake gold X award. I'm like, that was a real award. Like, it wasn't fake. The fact that Bubsy got it was dumb, but like, it was a real thing.
Yeah, like Xbox Era, there at the end. My verdict: this isn't just a retro release; it's a tribute to the creativity of the '90s, to the risks developers took, and to a mascot who still puts a smile on people's faces. It may not be flawless, but it is without question the perfect way to experience Bubsy. And I think that's a kinder way of saying it. Like, of course,
yeah, that's like a less harsh review. Like the other review was like just like I'm writing an English paper and I'm gonna be as fluffy about it as I can.
I feel like they're just certain reviewers, I think, are trying too hard to write their reviews like it's like a YouTube video. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. And again, it's just some people I think are just taking the wrong lessons from this Bubsy collection. Like we got the Gex collection as well, which is nice that it's there. But of course, we will do our deep dive in the future. So stay tuned for that. And I actually am planning to do some Bubsy content in the future for another podcast. I'm just waiting on my physical to get here because I fucking ordered a physical copy. I have no idea if it's shipped. No idea. It'll just it gets here when it gets here, and then we'll go from there. So that's kind of the plan with that. Trust me, when I get it, I will show you all. I'll make sure to show you all. But yeah, like people just being weird about it. Like, you don't have to buy it, if you're like, oh, like people getting actually mad at Bubsy for existing, I think is kind of funny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's so bizarre. Some people are acting. Some of the reactions of like people, the people are like way over the top. I'm like, they're not that bad. They're not, but good, also they're not that bad.
But also, it's Nintendo life, and they tend not to be kind to Sonic either because of the old Sega rivalry. So it's like, can you really trust these people? No. Like if somebody is still shitting on Sonic for like Nintendo console war reasons, I'm like, bro, you're gone. You're lost. You ain't coming back, But yeah, I guess that's the news. Was there any Nintendo music this week?
There was.
Speaking of.
There was.
Okay. Well, I didn't get spoiled on it this time.
Yeah, I think Will must have been sleeping. No, he was too busy watching football.
No, he fell asleep because, he was like, oh, Vikings are bad. It's like, yeah, well, they were. Then they got better. But again, another podcast. I'm just glad he didn't. I'll say maybe he heard that I was like, dude, don't fucking spoil it for me. And then he didn't. Let's see here. I think I have an idea already, but I just, again, I have to check everything just to be safe.
It's a good one.
Is it Tears of the Kingdom?
Nope. Older.
Oh, fuck. Tears of the Kingdom was always there? Shit.
Yep.
Every time. Every time. No. Yoshi's Story?
Nope. Newer.
Newer than that? What the fuck? I'll say Wind Waker's already been there.
Older. Well, actually, no. Probably like them might not be older. They're probably the same age.
It's not Nintendogs, is it?
Nope.
I don't. What is it?
It's for one of your favorite systems.
I don't fucking know. I can't tell.
Golden Sun.
I thought that was already there.
I think one of them was, but the other one's there now.
Yeah, Lost Age. Okay. I thought they were both over there.
No, we got the Lost Age now, so we have both halves.
God, this fucking app is so bad.
Well,
Because
it's
I
hard
just
to.
because I saw those. I was like, yeah, Golden Sun's already there.
Well, that's the thing is like we've had so little in the GBA, and like I mean the 3DS finally has a shitload of stuff. I mean shitload, finger quotations, but
Yeah, more
there's
than it has.
yeah, there's so little stuff in GBA, GameCube, and DS that like you don't even notice when they add something because you're just like that was always there, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. I say this every time where it's like every time they add something, it's just like, oh, that was already there, right?
Yeah,
So it's still crazy to me. The most by a mile is the fucking NES, and it's because they just threw in all the black box.
yeah, because they dumped their sound effect packs.
Yeah,
on
they're like, oh shit, Clue Clue Land. Oh shit, my volume is off. I always turn that off.
there.
Give me your money.
I'm so glad they dripped. We waited for that drip feed.
I'm curious. I'm curious to how what Nintendo did with like the old NES like sound clips, because like I assume those are what stored on floppies, like floppy disks. Like how did they source those? That's what I want to know.
Me sitting here being like, I wonder if they just ripped them from YouTube and then took down the videos.
No, they're better quality than like YouTube videos. You can tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just my inner like. That's something Nintendo would do.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that because I think it was when the Nintendo Museum opened and people were messing around with all their stuff. They found like somebody found that like the games that that had playable, they were just like PCs with like emulators, and they just loaded the ROMs in there.
Yeah,
which is hilarious. So it's like, I mean, that's the easy way to do it.
Nintendo's like,
and it's like,
do it,
and it's like,
can't.
I mean, they fucking own the games.
I know
they can do whatever they want, as far as I'm concerned. But it is what it is.
Nintendo's such a funny company sometimes.
Pisses me off sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel the like the opinion on Nintendo has changed in the last like year and a half, maybe?
It depends on who you ask, because some people they are much more negatively looked at. Some people think they're like the greatest thing ever, like even worse than before.
Like I guess it's like people are just digging in their heels, maybe.
I've seen like Nintendo fanboys these days that like in years past wouldn't have been nearly as annoying, but now they're like almost insufferable.
Yeah. There's a lot of like, it feels like people are trying to like bring back console warring, but instead it's more like console people attacking PC people.
There's
that. You know what
I
mean?
You got Nintendo fans because that's like the only real exclusive console these days.
True.
Because like Sony and Microsoft are basically the same thing these days.
Yeah, but they have their fans. They have their real annoying fanboys too.
Oh no, they both do on both sides. Xbox fans, hyper Xbox fans are very annoying. Hyper Sony fans are very annoying.
Yeah,
it's just a thing.
Yeah, there will always be those like weird people, but again, I feel like with Nintendo people, they just it's very, I don't know, something about them, but it feels like all the console people are just like attacking all of the PC people.
To be fair, though, I will say,
PC people are annoying too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They are, because they're always like, "Oh, you could just download this thing and play it; it'll run so much fucking better." It's like, well, good for you.
There's there's casual PC. Well, there's normal PC people who are just normal and don't be obnoxious about it. And then you have the slobs and stuff, and it's like,
well, I think the majority of like Nintendo fans, PlayStation fans, Xbox fans, PC, the majority of them are just average, fine people who are playing games on their preferred platform of choice for whatever reason. Fine, but it's just I've seen a lot of just vocal minorities on here just yelling and screaming at each other when it's so weird. When it's like, why are you simping for these companies that do not give a shit about you? They don't care. Like, like when like Sony fans were like calling PlayStation and saying, "Don't put Helldivers 2 on Xbox, don't do it," you know. It's like, guys, why are you being this way? They don't fucking give a shit. Okay? They don't care, and spoiler, it sold really well on Xbox. Um I mean, there are some people saying that it's selling better on Xbox than it did on PlayStation. I can't confirm that from what I've seen. Like some of the numbers seem a little shaky, but from what I've gathered in general, it's doing pretty well. And Sony seems pretty happy with it.
Hmm.
So more is coming. More is gonna come. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
And
we're getting a
fine. I
game.
think that's a good thing.
It's literally just which platform do you prefer at this point? Like,
Pretty much, yeah.
and that's fine.
So but anyways, that's me trying to extend the news. But anyways, let's get to the game this week. Is this our first Japan only game? I feel like it's not.
Second, we did the Sailor Moon game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Weirdly, a fighting game, and now we're going into a wrestling game. We were talking about. Let me see if I can get the name right. Royal Pro Wrestling Joku Live. I think I said that right. It was released on the Panasonic 3DO exclusively in Japan in 1996. Developed and published by everybody's favorite Natsume.
So here's where I gotta get a little nerdy about Natsume. Natsume is one of the most confusing fucking company. They're up there with Atari in terms of just how fucking confusing they are. Their history is. There's two Natsumes right now. There's the Natsume we all know and love that publishes Harvest Moon. That spawned from this Natsume. So what happened was it was like sort of an Atari situation where they split in half. The American publishing arm of Natsume is now the current Natsume that we see on game boxes all the time. The
Yeah.
original Japanese developer Natsume, they are now known as Natsume Atari. No relation to that Atari. It's a completely different Atari. Um, it's bizarre. It is a weird thing because I saw this like report about Natsume Atari releasing a new game. I'm like, Natsume Atari, when did this happen? I'm like, oh, it's a different company, but it's the same company.
So Natsume Atari is like the old Natsume.
Yes, because they're basically what happened was they had a US publishing arm, which
Yeah.
spun off on its own and just uses the Natsume name now for all their publishing, essentially.
Okay.
It's bizarre. It's one of those weird things. So when you see the Natsume name, it's not technically always the same Natsume, but in this case it is because I believe this game was pre-split.
I mean, yeah. I did not know of this fucking.
I didn't either
dive.
until I discovered Natsume Atari exists, and I was like,
Well, it says here the split happened like in 95 or like 94. So this
right
is
around this.
so this is roughly post split.
So I think what also happened too was they split, but they were Natsume America was still publishing Natsume Japan's games.
Yeah. Well, because I went to Natsume Atari's like Wikipedia page, and World Pro Wrestling is not on here.
Oh, so maybe they didn't develop it. Maybe this was developed by the Western studio.
But it was Japan only, though.
Yeah, that's the weirdest because this game is so fucking American at times. Like
it's actually not. It actually fits perfectly with like Japan wrestling games, but I'll get to that.
True. This is a weirdly like this game should have honestly been released over here. Like I feel like it would have worked perfectly.
Again, there's a pretty solid reason why it's not. But again,
you know more about wrestling than I do.
I do. I'm the wrestling boy over here. So yeah, but yeah, World Pro Wrestling came out in 96. It was developed by some Natsume. Who the fuck knows, right? You know, maybe it was just some dude named Natsume. So this game, to me, it's the only wrestling game released on the 3DO, right? And think about where wrestling games were in 1996. We have in the West, we're dominated by the Acclaim games. So the ones that were on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, like Royal Rumble, Raw, Super WrestleMania, that kind of stuff. But going into like 96, Acclaim was they still had the WWF license. So I think Warzone was out. I think, because Attitude was their last one before they lost it to THQ.
Yeah, because that's when
Um,
Ukes kind of came in, right?
Ukes came in on the original SmackDown series on the PlayStation. That's where they
Okay.
came in because THQ published that, and then also the wrestling games on N64 that were done by Aki, another Japanese.
Aki and Ukes were the two like
Yeah,
big
yeah, but
ones.
yeah. So, but again, that's another story. So we have that going on, right? Like WCW games had kind of been, you know, floating around with various other companies making them. But 96, I believe, was the first Aki WCW game, WCW NW World Tour on N64. I believe it was the first one. And that was born out of Virtual Championship Wrestling, or no, Virtual Pro Wrestling, which was Japan only on the N64, which is similar to Royal Pro Wrestling, and is something that Japanese wrestling games will do. And that is they'll have like a mixture of Japanese and American
Yeah.
wrestlers. They're pretty good at avoiding copyright. I guess Japan. I guess
Yeah.
Japan's. I think Japan's a little different about it, but Virtual Pro Wrestling I think had a deal with New Japan because like Vader's in it. I think Inoki is in it. Like Great Muta, like those kind of guys, and they were all New Japan guys. But that kind of transitions into Japan, where the big wrestling series over in Japan was Fire Pro Wrestling. Fire Pro Wrestling was done originally by Human Entertainment, which is where a man by the name of Suda51 got his start. In fact, one of his earliest credits is writing the scenario for Fire Pro Wrestling S, Six Man Scramble, which the S stands for the Six Man Scramble, which was like the new feature for that game. And also it was released on the Saturn. So it kind of fits in, right? And Fire Pro Wrestling, different because the Western games were more focused on like, you know, just kind of button mashing, or even say with like Warzone doing these weird, stupid combos that was like really bad. Fire Pro Wrestling was more focused on timing, to where you would grapple with an enemy and then you grapple your opponent, and then you'd have to time your button combination in order to do the move, right? It's a lot more thoughtful and a lot more deliberate in its thinking. It's I hate to use the comparison, but it's a little Souls-likey, you know, to where like, you know, the frame count and that kind of stuff does play into Fire Pro Wrestling. I've never really been able to get into Fire Pro. I've tried many times over the years. It didn't cross over into the States until the Game Boy Advance because the two Fire Pro Wrestlings on GBA. And then there was Returns on the PS2. And now there's one, I think it's on Steam and PS4, Fire Pro Wrestling World, which I think is like an online live servicey thing, maybe, because that came out in like 2017, and they haven't made a new one since. I mean, Human Entertainment doesn't exist anymore. Most of the guys who are making Fire Pro went to, I believe, Spike Chunsoft, and that's who have made the modern one since, you know, Human broke up, basically. So you have these like dichotomies right here, right? You have the Western side, which is, you know, focused on the, you know, WWF, WCW, later on ECW, you know, which were trying to appeal to more casual, dumb Western gamers. And then you had Fire Pro over in Japan, which was trying to be, you know, more deliberate and all that kind of stuff, and has some really cool things about it. Like the creation suites they've had are always fantastic, because in Japan, they would, you know, they would have like the fake WWF or WCW, right? Like it wouldn't be WWF, it'd be WFW or WWC.
WWA in this game, as they call it.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But and they would have like fake Hulk Hogan, fake Undertaker, that kind of stuff, right? But also they would have creation suites, a really robust one, so you could add wrestlers who weren't in the game. So say like you're like, oh, I really want to play as, you know, Flying Brian Pillman, but he's not in this game. You can go in the creation suite and you can make him, right? Like move set, taunts, everything, which is always, I think that's what people really liked about Fire Pro is the creation stuff. So Royal Pro Wrestling comes out in 96, and to me fits somewhere in the middle of all of this that's kind of going on in the wrestling stuff. It's based in Japan, right? And it has that kind of Fire Pro aesthetic a little bit because it's like it's 2D, but Fire Pro is always usually above, like a bird's eye view on the ring.
Yeah.
But here it's more the view, it's more like a hard camera angle that you'd watch, say, like on wrestling shows at the time, or even like now, kind of a thing. It reminded me a little bit of if you ever played King of the Ring on like NES or Game Boy. It kind of had that look to it. But the move set is really kind of like pre-Aki.
Yeah, I
you know?
noticed that. It was very technical, but also like arcadey at the same time in a weird way.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mixture of both. Yeah, so the game does not have an English patch. Trust me, I looked. I
No, but
couldn't find
there's
one, but there's a
English voice acting at points, which is
yeah, there's
funny,
English voice acting at points.
which is
And I
amazing, by
yes,
the way.
and I found on GameFAQs back in 2017 a guy by the name of Fire Pro Fan. Thank you, shout out.
Is it the one article that's
Yeah,
just there?
made the one 3DO guide where basically he translates the menus in a
Mhm.
little like FAQ and then like gives you a detail and like, oh, here's what the controls are. And like here's how the game functions, which actually made it much more playable for me.
Yeah.
Just knowing what the hell was going on. And yeah, he breaks it down in a pretty good way of like, yeah, it's like you grapple and then it's like a direction and a button and then you do a move, which is kind of
Mhm.
what like Ukes would do, what Aki would do, you know, kind of the more modern wrestling games once we enter into the 2000s kind of would do basically. So it's like kind of ahead of its time, but yeah, but it still has a little bit of that Fire Pro timing, but it's a lot more generous with it compared
Yeah.
to those games. Um,
I
and
noticed like that the big aspect of the gameplay that was very unique to me was like it wasn't just about winning the fight. You also had to really put on a show kind of thing.
yes, which is something that like once we get into like the SmackDown versus Raw series, once that becomes a thing, that really plays into those as well. Because I remember when I would play SmackDown versus Raw 2007 on the 360, you would have like a momentum meter,
Mhm.
and they even said like, oh, if you kept doing the same move or weren't doing like exciting things, it wouldn't go up, it would even go down at certain points.
Mm.
So you have to like, you know, change up your move set and, you know, try to make it, because yeah, you're putting on a show. It's kind of the like, this is entertainment at the same
I
time.
found this fun description of the three styles where it was like this is taken from the TV tropes article in the game, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
it describes that each style of wrestling has a different promotion style, which works differently for each each area, like America, Japan, Mexico, which are the three main regions this game has, and it brings up how where'd it go? Fuck, lost it. Shit.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll say, yeah, like it's, yeah, it does, yeah. Like the main ones are the United States, Japan, and Mexico, which has always been like kind of the three main hubs for pro wrestling, kind of around the world, really. So, like for the American one, it's WWA, which
Yeah.
is a kind of a weird mishmash of WWF and WCW.
Yes. Yeah.
So and it has more of that kind of style of wrestling. Like if any of you have watched like Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair or whatever, you know what you're expecting, right? Um, and then the second one was JAW, which is based on, you know, Japanese wrestling, which at the time the two big promotions were All Japan and New Japan. Um, I, I can't remember if All Japan still exists now or if they're just kind of a shell of their former self. Because I believe All Japan was headed by Giant Baba, who in this game he's here but under a different name. We'll get to the names in a
We'll get to the
second.
names. I found a list.
Um,
It's great.
yeah, yeah. It was Giant Baba who founded All Japan, and then New Japan was founded by Antonio Inoki. But New Japan has kind of become like the forebearer of Japanese wrestling nowadays. Like if you've ever watched any Japanese wrestling, there's a good chance it was New Japan. You know, go watch some Wrestle Kingdoms. Your mind will get blown. And then MDLL, Mexico de Lucha Libre, is the Mexican promotion. It's mostly based on CMLL, Consuelo Mandal de Lucha Libre. I probably said that wrong, but that's kind of like the big promotion down in Mexico as well. And of course they're known for, well, I never mentioned Japan was kind of at that time becoming known for what they call strong style, which is basically pro wrestling that hurts.
Yeah.
Like again, like if you've never watched like strong style wrestling, the best way I describe it to you is like, say if you watch like a WWF match, you can tell if you've watched enough, you can tell they're kind of pulling their punches a little bit, you know, which is fair. You don't want to hurt the guy, right? It's, you know, more on the entertainment side. But with Japan, when they punch, they fucking punch you. Seriously, like again, if you go watch some like Wrestle Kingdoms, you'll see like they're beating the shit out of each other. Like it's still a show, it's still entertainment at the end of the day, but you know, they really emphasize like that's kind of what Antonio Inoki was all about. It's like if you want it to be real, you fucking hit the guy. Like what's more real than that, right? You know, because wrestling is always fought that real versus fake kind of a thing. And if you watch a couple matches of Strong Style, you'll be like, oh yeah, this shit ain't fake.
Yeah.
So it isn't fake. It is, but it isn't. Again, it's like they know who's gonna like win and lose at the end of the day, but like when they go out there and do the stuff, like no, that's real. Like when they fall through tables, it's not green screen. They're falling through those tables. But Mexico is known for is lucha libre, which is that very acrobatic, high flying style of pro wrestling. Like if you've ever watched the Rey Mysterio match, like it's that kind of like flying off the top rope, doing the 619, wearing a mask, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what Mexican wrestling has been known for forever.
Oh yeah.
And it's headed in this game by a Mil Mascaras, the man of 1,000 masks, who he's not as like high flying and crazy as some of the more modern ones are, but you can tell he's very much a forebearer of that style. And yeah, all three promotions definitely favor those styles over the other.
Yeah, I found the TV tropes thing. It lists them as Americans value over-the-top spectacle, complete with chair shots, Titantron promos, and meddling managers. Japanese leans towards pseudo-realistic sports matches in the vein of Strong Style and King's Road storytelling. And Mexicans prefer flashy chain wrestling and aerial moves.
Yes. Or as Jim Cornette calls it, flippy bullshit. But I like flippy bullshit. Okay, it's fun. So yeah, and they perfectly fit in there, and it's cool that like if you mess with all the different players, all the different wrestlers and different styles, you definitely get that. Like the game's kind of like moving you into like whatever kind of style that works with, which I think is great because for a good long while, like if you've played any of like the wrestling games on Genesis, you'll know that all the characters pretty much play the same. They only look a little bit different. There was only so much they could do with it at the time. But as we're moving more into like, the 3D era and getting closer to that, they're starting to have more variation in what the wrestlers could do and having more of like, oh, that's actually their move set kind of a thing. And this game is kind of, I think is kind of a bigger step into that than some people would know. In a weird way, it is kind of like an interesting forebearer of wrestling games to come. But it is still kind of dragging in the past with the Fire Pro stuff. Because Fire Pro would get away, as I mentioned, they would get away with having real wrestlers by just like giving them fake names, But in the States, when they would bring the Fire Pro games over, they didn't do that because they couldn't get away with it. But they would give you all the tools. So like they wouldn't have Juan Cena, but you can make Juan Cena if you want. That's actually a real thing. That there was a short period of time where John Cena was wrestling under a mask, and he called himself Juan Cena. The whole thing, a little, not racist, but a little like. But anyways, yeah, the names for these are great. So
the two boring ones, but like, so I have a list here.
I have the list too, but viewers at home, I'm gonna give them a little quiz. So just shout this at your phone or whatever. Hulk Hogan is in the game. What do you think they named Hulk Hogan in this game? Give him a couple seconds. All right. So they decided to name Hulk Hogan Golden Lips. You probably didn't get that. It's based on when he was like Thunder Lips in the Rocky movie.
I knew about Thunder Lips. I didn't know where the golden came from.
Well, because Hulk Hogan had the blonde hair, red and yellow, that kind of a thing.
Fair.
Yeah. What are some other highlights for you?
Well, the two boring ones right off the bat, but kind of funny. You got these ones are so obvious. I'll just say it. Ric Flair, Rich Fair. Or Rich Flair.
Rich Flair. I love that one. And it also fits because it's like, yeah, Rich. Yeah, he's a rich guy.
And then Randy Savage is Andy Savage. Totally different.
That just sounds like the name of like an indie wrestler.
Macho Man Andy Savage.
The Nacho Man. Like seriously, if any of you have ever gone to a local wrestling promotion, I'm sure there is one not far from you. You'd probably find a guy, Andy Savage, but he wouldn't do any Macho Man stuff. He just thought it was a cool name.
So we got a few of them here. Like we've got Skunk.
Everybody, who do you think Skunk is?
Oh man.
It's Sting.
From the Police. No.
Well, this was the era, I'll say 96. He was starting to change his appearance by this point, but they were still going on the surfer blonde hair type deal, though I think he had stopped bleaching his hair by 96. So, but he wasn't Crow yet. Like that was kind of still in the making.
We also have Texas Longhorn, which sounds like a restaurant.
Texas Longhorn. I believe Texas Longhorn is Stan the Man Hansen.
Yes.
Who was a prominent wrestler in a like World Class Championship Wrestling near the end of its run, and then did a bunch of stints all over various like territories when the territories was still a thing here, but then had a real big career in Japan. Like he's one of the few American wrestlers who actually did way better in Japan than they did in the States. He didn't do bad in the States at all. He did challenge for the NWA World Title against Ric Flair, but yeah, he did really well in Japan, and I get why. He's almost kind of the epitome of what Japanese people think an American is, like a loud, brash cowboy hat wearing dude who's like, kind of a guy. Yeah. But he was a tough guy. He didn't pull punches.
We also have the Underdice Morgan. Like what?
I'm not even sure I get that one. That's the Undertaker. I don't quite get where Underdice Morgan comes from.
We've got some of these. Yes. See, some of these I'm worried that they're offensive, but I guess they're not. Like we got the Great Budo.
That is the Great Budo. I'm not quite sure where they got the Great Budo from. That is the Great Muda, who is a very well known and beloved Japanese wrestler who's had quite an interesting history actually. He has associated himself a lot with the Insane Clown Posse because they have their own wrestling league. Did you know? Juggalo Championship Wrestling. It is a real thing, and ICP have done runs in WWF, WCW, ECW, Ring of Honor, and TNA. They've been in all of them.
Nice. For
varying stints, and yeah, they're genuine fans. They do care. But again, it's a whole thing. But Budo is a Japanese term meaning the way of the warrior, according to Google AI. So who knows how accurate that is. That one isn't too bad. But yeah, the Great Muda, he's an icon. Legend.
This one's my favorite because it's so fucking stupid. Rhino Warriors.
Which Rhino Warriors? Where's that one?
Road Warriors. It's like, how do we change road? Rhino.
I didn't know they changed them to the Rhino Warriors because there's Mike and Johnny. Not as opposed to Hawk and Animal.
Yeah.
Oh, the Road Warriors.
Big Bang Bull Power.
Big Bang Bull Power. Vader.
Yeah.
Big Van. It's probably a play on Big Van Vader. But he had a lot like Big Van Vader, the man they call Vader, all that kind of stuff. He's another guy. It's interesting. Well, I think they have him in the American section because I think he was in WWF at the time. Yeah, that 96 run was rough for him. But he's another guy who did really well in Japan. Like very, very well. Yeah. But also a former WCW heavyweight champion. So it's not like he did bad over here. In fact, I think Vince wanted to put the belt on him in WWF, but Shawn Michaels didn't like him. So he kind of sabotaged their SummerSlam 96 main event, which is kind of why Vader never really made it far in WWF. But that we're not getting into that.
Yeah.
No, I can if you want me to.
It's for the wrestling podcast.
What wrestling podcast? I don't want to watch Wrestling Weekly. I can't do it anymore, man.
I know, right?
It's just like, it's not that it's bad. It's just too much. I can't do like 5+ hours of wrestling a week. I can't. Like when I was younger, I would watch 2 hours of SmackDown every week, and I was good. I was fucking good, man.
Dr. Kill.
Dr. Death Steve Williams, JR's favorite wrestler. Another guy who was who did very well for himself in Japan. I think the rumor was he was going to have a run with Steve Austin for the WWF title. If you remember in the late 90s, they did this thing called the Brawl for All, a complete fucking shit show. I'm not getting into that. But it's a rumor that that whole thing was created for so that Steve Williams could get a big push and then challenge Austin for the belt, and they'd have a bit of a run. But, you know, but yeah, he was another guy. He was good. But again, it's one of those, like, you know, bigger in Japan kind of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of these other ones stick out?
I mean, I can go through all of the. Well, there's for Yokozuna, they have Oyakata the Kokina.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I know that the term Yokozuna refers to, like, when you're at the top of sumo wrestling, like that's like a title that you get. So that's where they got Yokozuna from. So I don't know where they got that from. Let's see what else we have. Kong the Gordish, which is that's a Bruiser Brody. Now, like, he was actually originally tag team partners with Stan Henson. They kind of had a team going. And yeah, it's kind of a mixture of, like, his real name Frank Goodish, and then originally he was King Kong Brody, but then became Bruiser Brody. So another whole thing.
Big Kiba.
Big Kiba, I believe, is Giant Baba.
Yep.
Who, yeah, is a legend in Japanese wrestling.
I just love that. I love the difference. It's like giant, big.
Yeah, Baba Kiba. Yeah, but that's a guy who's, like, again, an icon in Japanese wrestling. You know, kind of like he's almost Japan's Andre the Giant, if you will. Though Andre did a bunch of stints in Japan as well. You're learning so much about wrestling today. I don't think you were expecting that, were you?
No, most of my wrestling knowledge comes from promos and other sports.
Yeah, I've done a lot of a lot of research into pro wrestling. We have Mr. Arbu, who's Abdullah the Butcher. He's a real piece of work. We're not getting into him. Put your forks away. We're not getting into him. Trying to see who else stands out for me. Oh yeah, for Antonio Inoki, they have Dynamic Owaki. Sure. They have Dragon Fujiyama for Tatsumi Fujinami. Sure. Another icon of Japanese wrestling. Actually, when Hogan was between WWF and WCW, he did a run in New Japan with Tatsumi Fujinami for the New Japan title. And it's if you've ever seen those like photos or videos of, like, it's like Hulk Hogan doing a drop kick, or like doing like these like actual really good wrestling. It's from that run in the 90s. Because Hogan has talked about how Japan, they put more emphasis on the actual, like, wrestling and, like, the technical craft stuff, whereas in the West they just want more of the showmanship. That's why, like, if you've watched the stereotypical Hogan match, you know how it goes, right? But if you want to see him actually do some, like, kind of like pretty impressive technical stuff, go watch his run with Fujinami in New Japan in the, like, it's like 93, 94 maybe, like in that weird gap between WWF and WCW. So if you want to see Hogan do an enziguri, which is the move where when you try to kick a guy and then he's holding your foot, and then you take your other foot and swing it right into his face.
Oh.
Yeah. It's called an enziguri. Bet you didn't know that.
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And then I'm not super knowledgeable about Mexican wrestling. I do know the Great Sasuke. I do know that name. Tiger Mask is great. Black Tiger Mask.
Oh, I don't know about saying that one.
Well, it's Spanish for black.
I know.
I know the word, but I ain't saying it.
It's more the YouTube filter. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
I wasn't going to say it anyways.
Yeah. I looked down. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And then Kaiser Yamada is a Jushin Thunder Liger. It's interesting. Some of these mask wrestlers, like Tiger Mask and Jushin Thunder Liger, are Japanese wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
But they're in the Mexican portion, which is interesting. Dynamite Kid, Kid the Wolf. He's a character. I won't go into that. And then Mil Mascaras is Alan El Masacadlo, I think. So yeah, some silly fun names, but again, it's to avoid copyright, so they don't have to pay any of these people money.
I like how some of them are like over the top, and then others they're like are just kind of
like
more.
it's just a play on like their actual name.
Yeah, and then some you get like the Under Ice Morgan, and it's like
Which is great. So as far as like modes in this game are concerned, there's really not that much. There's the world championship, which is like the closest thing to like a story mode, basically, where you pick which promotion you want to go to, and then you challenge that promotion's title, the world title, and you go through a series of matches, and then like the promoter grades your matches and how good they are so that you can keep advancing. It reminds me a little bit of the story mode in Legends of Wrestling 2, which was also a similar thing where you'd go to like you pick your wrestler, you'd pick the territory you wanted to go to, and you would start out like doing matches with enhancement talent, and then you'd have to fill like an excitement bar in the middle of the screen for things like, oh, varied moves, using chairs, getting the crowd hyped, finishers, that kind of thing. And when you got it full enough, you would then move into the next stage. It's like you're first working with like, jobbers, then you're working with like named wrestlers, and then the last one is you're doing like specialty matches to then challenge for the title. So it has a similar setup to that, basically. Which again, kind of forward thinking for its time, you know? And then there's just a tournament. It's a tournament.
Yeah.
And then your exhibition matches, which there's not a lot of matches in this. You can do singles, you can do tags. I think that's about it. I'm trying to remember. I don't think
it wasn't super varied, but for what I played, I was like, this is all solid enough.
Yeah, like it doesn't have like there's no cage match, there's no ladder match, there's no like triple threats. Yeah, I don't think there's not even like a triple threat or a fatal four way kind of a thing. Like wrestling games later on would get a lot better with the modes where you could do all the kinds of crazy gimmick matches.
Oh,
but
yeah.
a lot of early wrestling games did not focus on that at all. Like I remember Royal Rumble on Genesis and Super Nintendo, its big mode was adding the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Like that was its big thing. So yeah, and there's not even a battle royal in this mode either, which is a shame. That would have been kind of cool. But yeah, and there's a tutorial where giant or King Big Kiba, I'm just gonna say Giant Baba, where Giant Baba teaches you how to play the game, which would be great if I knew how to speak Japanese or even read Japanese.
Yeah.
I wonder how Dre would handle this game if he could read it.
So I have to ask, did you try the Capcom controller? Oh wait, no, you were playing PC. What am I saying?
No, I didn't.
I was like, wait a minute.
I could not. I wish.
I
can't remember if this game's expensive or not on eBay.
That's a good question, actually. I didn't even think to look.
Yeah. I didn't bother looking because I knew even if I ordered it, it wouldn't have got here in time anyway. Let's see here.
Well,
oh, fuck me.
Oh, what?
Oh, it's bad. I
just got wrestling trunks. What the
fuck? Yeah, put those on.
Specify the 3D. Oh.
Yeah, there's not a single copy that's less than $120.
No, thank you.
Yes, so Emulation Station. My guess is this probably was a game that was like made in limited quantities and sold in even less quantities.
Yeah.
The mid 90s was kind of a down point for wrestling in general, because you had like the golden age that started with like Hogan in the mid 80s, and that went to about the early 90s, and then in the early to mid 90s was like the beginning of like the new generation era with like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, but that was also like the steroid trial. Where it was found out that like, wrestlers were, taking a lot of steroids in the 80s. Shocker. I know it sounds silly now, but back then it was like a whole scandal. Like Vince McMahon had to like testify in front of the federal government about it. It was a whole thing, and I think it really soured people on wrestling. And around this time you see guys like Hogan and some of like, the more muscle bound guys slim down because it was obvious that they weren't on steroids. There's that famous Arsenio Hall interview with Hogan where he talks about, he's like, I'm not a steroid user. I don't use steroids. But then he talks about how he used steroids like 3 times. It was under doctor's supervision, so it was fine. But if you look around, you can look up stories about how like dudes were just injecting roids, like literally like the injection like all the time back then. It was kind of crazy. So yeah, like wrestling just had a bit of a stink on it right now, and I think at that point, and even like in Japan also, it was just kind of in a down point. Like it really, over here in the West, it kind of picked up in the late 90s when, the Montreal Screwjob happens, and then and coincides with the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and wrestling and WWF enters the Attitude Era as a way to counteract WCW becoming successful with the NWO and everything, right? And that's when wrestling gets its real big boom. And it's around the corner in 96. It's not too far off, but it feels like it's forever far off. And I want to be sure I'm correct on this. I think around the same time, New Japan was kind of in a slump as well. But it eventually picked up. It took longer for it to pick up, I think, because I think in the 2000s, New Japan was not super hot. But I think when we hit the 2010s is when it got real big again. Because when Kurt Angle was in TNA, he had a run where he held the New Japan and the TNA title at the same time. And I think that put a lot of notoriety back on Japanese wrestling. And then, of course, the 2010s was kind of the rise of internet culture. So people finally seeing like, what's the deal with Japanese wrestling? Because if you're a wrestling person, you'd always heard about, the wrestling scene in Japan, and you'd see all these like guys coming over from there to the States and all this stuff. And so you do the Seinfeld thing. What's the deal with Japanese wrestling? And so with, the internet becoming more readily available and people able to access stuff more, they go back and watch the archives and they're like, oh shit, Japan wrestling's always been fucking great. And it's like, exactly. So
a lot of things. Japan is fun like that because a lot of shit in Japan is just so fucking over the top because they can get away with it.
Yeah, like with Japan, you'll see shit like guys beating the absolute tar out of each other and destroying their bodies. And then on the other hand, you'll have like these weird, silly, goofy gimmick matches where like there was a Japanese wrestler who like had a match with a sex doll.
Yeah, well, because you think of
they find that.
You tie into their weird like game shows that they do over there, because Japanese game shows are the fucking most entertaining thing you'll ever see.
Oh my god!
I always think there's like
what a rabbit hole to go down.
The most fucked up one I've ever seen was it was like these 2 women, and it was like a giant like a tube, basically like a pipe kind of.
Sure.
There was a roach in it, and they had to blow the roach away, and if you didn't, it went in your mouth. I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now?
That's some Fear Factor shit right there.
Yeah. And I was just like, just sitting there going like, what the fuck?
I mean, that's what happens when you nuke a country.
It becomes amazing.
That's always been like my weird theory about Japan, is like why they're so fucking weird is because of all the fucking nuclear fumes kind of infusing into their DNA, and that's why they're so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's slightly conspiratorial, but I don't think it's without possibility. But even still.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, Royal Pro Wrestling, despite my history lesson I just gave you on professional wrestling, I hope you enjoyed it. If Jelly listens, I'm sure she'll enjoy it. Royal Pro Wrestling as a game, I think it's fine. I don't think it's amazing by any stretch of the imagination.
No, for like 96, it's not bad.
It's again, it sits in that weird spot where it's like trying to find kind of like the middle ground between American and Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's trying to find that sort of middle ground between, well, the kind of like what Fire Pro was doing and say what Acclaim was doing in a way. But I think Aki did that better.
Yeah.
Because they made it like, the 3D graphics, they were able to bring it over to the West and use like Western promotions to kind of promote that. And that's why those games are still so beloved to this day.
Yeah. It's kind of like, when it comes to wrestling games, I know people generally like there's the Aki and Ukes era, and then there's everything before. for like pre-Aki and Ukes, this was pretty okay. Like there was nothing
It's
inherently bad.
I would say it's one of the I would argue like pre-Aki, it's one of the better ones as far as like control wise, because a lot of American wrestling games pre-Aki were just dog shit. They were just really
Yeah.
bad. But I think in a way I sympathize, because you look at something like professional wrestling and you're like, how do you incorporate that into like an 8-bit Nintendo game? Right? Like that's difficult. And if you've played the 4 NES WWF games, they're all different. They're all very different from each other and varying degrees of suck. But
Yeah.
you have like, was it, I think it was Tecmo. Tecmo had some wrestling games out at the time, and those are actually not too bad. You know,
Fighting games, fighting adjacent games were very hard to get right in the 8-bit era.
yeah, wrestling games like at that time, I think people were viewing them more as like fighting games, or trying to like. I've always viewed them as like fighting adjacent.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't put like SmackDown versus Raw next to Street Fighter. You know what I mean? Like there are similarities, but they operate very differently
Yeah,
from each other.
conceptually they're similar, but from an actual technical standpoint,
Yeah,
they're different as can be.
and I think a lot of early Japanese wrestling games viewed it more as like fighting games. That's why you have weirdly enough, I think one of the better wrestling games from that era, Saturday Night Slam Masters,
Mm.
which treats it like a fighting game with a little bit of grappling. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
I
great.
know that.
It's fucking great.
That's the Midway one, right?
Capcom.
Capcom. That's right.
The one you're thinking of is WrestleMania, the arcade game, which was done by the Mortal Kombat team, and it's essentially it's just Mortal Kombat but wrestling. Like,
yeah,
like they brought in like Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Lex Luger to like do the stuff like they would with the Mortal Kombat characters, and I fucking love that game. I do. Like it's you can tell Mortal Kombat is their base, but it does play a little bit differently, and I think that's what allows it to kind of stand out. And that's why I've always viewed that game as a bit of an underrated gem in the world of wrestling games. It did get a sequel called WWF In Your House, which kind of blows. Shit. But yeah, that game kind of sucks, but you know, that is what it is. So yeah, it was just kind of a weird time for it. And I think overall, I just think World Pro Wrestling actually does a fairly good job with what it is. It's not the most in-depth wrestling game I've ever played. You could play like the Fire Pro games from that era, and they are way more mechanically in depth, and there's a lot more to them, but they're not for everybody. They're more for like the hardcore fans.
I just realized I do own one wrestling game.
What is it?
WWF Betrayal on the Game Boy.
Oh, on the color? Oh, that game is gross.
The beat 'em up that clearly runs off the Shantae engine.
Yeah, that's
and
a gross one.
It's kind of amazing at the same time, though. You're
True.
like, God damn.
Yeah. I mean, I could do a whole thing about like the history of wrestling video games, but you know, we're
just
not
thinking
here for
about it.
that.
I'm like, I do own that.
Yeah. But I will say, Aki did eventually go on to make the Def Jam games. So Vendetta and Fight for New York, the beloved ones, were made by Aki. So because EA, well, the whole story with that is EA eventually got the WCW license after THQ dropped it in favor of WWF, because you know the tides of the ratings were changing. So THQ went, we're gonna go with the guys who are gonna win, and then EA picked up WCW, and then they made Mayhem. I think Mayhem was the one. Goldberg's eating the logo on the cover, and then which was meh, and then Backstage Assault, which was bad. But I'm pretty sure EA made those in house, but they were able to get Aki after Aki was kind of ousted from the wrestling games in favor of Ukes.
Yeah.
I think it's because the SmackDown games were selling a lot better. I mean, they were on PlayStation, so they were selling a lot better, and so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make this." Well, that's the thing. They never left PS2, but they kind of favored them, and then Aki left, and EA picked them up to make. Well, there was originally going to be a sequel to WWF No Mercy called WWF Backlash in 2002, but that got canceled because it was like it's 2002. Everyone's on the GameCube now, and so Aki went to EA. And then they were going to make a WCW game for like PS2 or whatever. I think there was like a PS2 version of Mayhem in the works. But when WCW went under, that was that. And so EA is like, well, we still want to make a wrestling game. Who should we call? We'll call Def Jam.
Island Records. Yes.
I don't think they were Island. I don't think it was Def. It wasn't Def. It wasn't Def Jam Island. Well, I think Def Jam was still their own label at that point.
Yeah, I think Interscope was part of it. They had a lot of those artists at the time.
I'm pretty sure it was all just. I think Def Jam was still independent at that point. I don't think they were acquired by Interscope yet.
Maybe.
But yeah, but it was only the first two, and then Aki kind of rebranded themselves as Sin Sophia and make weird waifu dressing games on Switch now.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
They're only going up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right. Yuke's was the last thing Yuke's did, I think, was making like an Earth Defense Force game. So
no. Yuke's is still doing shit.
Are they back on wrestling?
Well, because they were doing the SmackDown series, and then they made like separate series for Xbox and GameCube, but then they put SmackDown versus Raw together, and then that's kind of what morphed into like the WWE 2K series that we know of now. It's a whole thing.
I know Yuke's got
because when 2K when THQ went out of business, 2K acquired the WWE license, and so like for a while they were doing like WWE 12 and WWE 13. You know, it's just like this is stupid. And then 2K14 was when they rebranded them to WWE 2K14.
Yeah.
And then they made all them up to 2K19 until oh fuck, who's the main 2K developer?
Visual Concepts.
Visual Concepts basically took over for them.
And was it a rough transition?
Yeah, I'm told it's a lot better now.
It is, but that first game is so
20 was dog 20 was so bad they took a year off, and I heard 22 is a lot better. Maybe I should buy that on sale and mess around with it.
20 is hilarious just for the graphical errors. Like what? Looking at compilations, it's like, oh my god,
it's pretty fun. Yeah. But then Yuke's made a couple Earth Defense Force games. They did make the AEW fight wrestling game.
Okay.
AEW Fight Forever. Like Yuke's and THQ Nordic did it. So it's kind of like they're coming back together, and they were trying, and their basis was No Mercy. But I haven't played it. I know it didn't get solid reviews. So I can't really say. I mean, I get trying to do the Aki thing, but it's like, you're not Aki. Like, that's the whole appeal about the SmackDown original Yuke series, was that it wasn't the slow Aki technical stuff. It was more fast paced and arcadey. That's what people liked about it, right? So them trying to do that is kind of weird, but I've heard talks of them doing another AEW game, but I'm not sure about that. But since then, they did another Earth Defense Force, and they're working on a Double Dragon Revive coming out this year.
Neat.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So yeah. But yeah, that's your fucking wrestling lesson, kiddos. I hope you're paying attention. There will be a test.
So I did want to look up reception for this game, but because it's Japan only, there's not a whole lot to look.
There's not even a Wikipedia page for this game,
nope.
Is there? Yeah.
There's a TV tropes page. That's
which is great.
And a Moby Games page. But there's no reviews.
Trying to see if there is any. I mean, there's like YouTube videos of people playing it and talking about it, but
yeah,
it's one of those games. It's like I can't find proper reviews for it. Hold on, I'm looking. I should have did this earlier.
Oh, the Critical Club.
What
did they have to say?
I don't know why that made me giggle.
Never mind. It's a forum. That's not helpful.
Well, what do they say on the forum? Anything good or bad?
This is such an early 2000s forum. Oh my, ew. Okay, this is just talking about wrestling games in general, and someone happened to mention it at one point.
Okay.
So it's not very helpful.
Okay, even on Backlogged, there's no reviews. There's one rating, and it's a 2.5 star.
Ooh, Lunatic Obscurity. What is this?
Now that's obscure.
That's a lot of words. That's a review, I guess.
What they say.
It's a novel. There's a long and fine tradition in Japanese wrestling games, most famously seen in the Fire Pro series, whereby the roster will be full of real life wrestlers, but with their names changed to some silly nonsense. And that's
Yeah.
apparently enough to get around any copyright laws. And I'm sure you're aware that this is a common practice in arcade games in general throughout the 80s, leading to difficulties when it comes to modern re-releases of games like Outrun and Afterburner, as copyright holders have begun to notice that their stuff was being used without permission. Anyways, Royal Pro Wrestling carries on that tradition in amazing style with names like Mike Warrior, Golden Lips, Under Eyes the Morgan. My favorite of the name changes was Randy Savage, although he's now Andy Savage. Amazing. Anyway, Royal Pro Wrestling plays like any typical Japanese wrestling game in the 16-bit era, except the Fire Pro series, which were all a class above the rest. You lock up by walking into each other, then hammer the buttons. This is just a review, basically. They go very in
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah.
Um, basically, it's just our episode, but probably written different.
A little more concise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what Randy Savage's real name was?
I do not.
Randy Poffo. His last name is Poffo.
Doesn't roll off the tongue the same way Randy Savage does.
No. And he actually was a baseball player in his day. Actually,
Was he?
yeah. Before he got into wrestling, he was baseball, and he got signed by the Cardinals. He even played in the minor leagues for the Cincinnati Reds as well. So, but due to injuries, that's why he abandoned his baseball career for wrestling. Which his dad, Angelo Poffo, trained him and was a big time wrestler in his day. And he had a brother named Lanny Poffo, who you may know as the Genius, who was a guy who would walk around in a cap and gown with like holding a diploma and like talk smart. Fucking wrestling, dude.
It's entertainment for a reason.
Oh, it's great. Makes me happy.
So, must play okay, stay away. I can't say stay away. I was going to say this is a very solid okay.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it. It's must play, I think, is pushing it.
See, the reason I can't say it's a must play is because if we're going by like playing this legitimately, it's not easy.
No,
you got to import it over, and even like emulating, it's still not super accessible because if you can't read Japanese, you're gonna have to work around the menus a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pull up that guide I found on GameFAQs, which will get you through everything. But yeah, like I would say like if you're a real big wrestling fan and like to dig into like obscure wrestling games, it's an absolute must play. But for most people, it's okay. You know, if you're curious to it, go ahead and give it a try. It's not a miserable experience at all. I even had a little bit of fun with it. So much fun, my voice almost died. Yeah, like I liked it for what it was. I'm sure when we do our eventual updated ranking, I'll probably fight for this to be decently higher than you'd probably expect. But I can't say must play because it's not up there.
No, it's too inaccessible, and there's just better games on the system. But it is not a bad game by any means.
If it had the Mick Foley Terry Funk death matches in Japan that were happening or a little bit prior to this, if that was an option, it would be an absolute must play. If I could, blow up the ring and have like barbed wire ropes on fire, now we're fucking talking, dude.
Oh man. But yeah. So that was Royal Pro Wrestling. Next week brother. Next week we are going to be going back to a more interesting title for the system. We're going to be talking about Neurodancer.
Journey into the Neuro Net.
We'll see how that goes.
It's a bit of a spiritual successor to a previous episode, but you'll know that when we get there.
You'll know. But yeah, look forward to that. I guess before I do the sign out, any updates on Rec Ops or?
I have started Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1. A couple missions in, so Hopefully, I will get that game knocked out sometime next week, so I can get the episode out. Hopefully soonish. I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks. Hopefully, the episode will be out in 2 weeks,
Nice.
as long as I'm not stupid.
And before we sign out, obviously, shout out to the Superpod Network. Wanted to just bring up the Bubsy blog should be coming out eventually once everyone finishes writing it.
Have you?
I have actually.
Okay. Have you played the game for this month yet?
No, at the way this month's going, I don't see it happening.
Oh, you can knock it out in like 20 minutes, dude.
I'll see. This month is already a disaster, so we're gonna see
All
how
I'm
this
asking, you
goes.
pop it on, play it for like 15 minutes. That's really all you need. 15 minutes, and you've seen the game.
Maybe I'll find it at Retro World this week, and if I see a copy,
Hey,
I will pick it up.
there you go. There you go. That'd be cool.
I'd also like to shout out next month we're doing the horror game Halloween themed blogs again.
October.
So look forward to those in the future. I'm not going to spoil who's playing what, but look out for that in the future.
Aaron's playing Clock Tower 2, his favorite game ever.
Hooray! What? I didn't touch the armor and now my game's dead? Drat. Anyways, though, once again, guys, thank you for joining us on the 3DO Experience. You can find the 3DO Experience on all the major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcast and Spotify. And be sure to check us out over on the Superpod Network, of course. You can find all sorts of different podcasts, videos, blogs. And yeah, once again, though, thanks for watching or listening. And my brain is falling apart. And we'll see you all next time.
Skull Vikings.
Nice.